Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a declutter. I'm going to be decluttering my blushes, highlighters, and bronzers. I really want to get my collection down to at least half, especially the last few months staying at home and being in quarantine. I've really just been using like the same 5 products for my face. Like I've shared multiple times that I have been just using this one blush, Benefit Georgia, since like April, and it's so exciting to me to actually use up products, and I know that I'm going to continue to do that. Like I have my other highlighter here that I wear every single day, Persona Zuma. That's where I am right now, where I just love actually finishing products. I love what I love, and I'd rather use what I love every day than just have a bunch of variety. So I definitely want to do some declutters. So that is the plan for today. I definitely want to minimize my collection and just keep products that I absolutely love and plan on finishing. I do have a few like sentimental products here and there. I always get into my little story times and my declutters with some products I'm like more emotionally attached to, so I'm sure we'll get there as well, but I definitely just want to focus on keeping what I actually plan on using up. I'll go through everything, tell you guys why and why not I'm keeping it, so I'm sure that can be helpful as well if you're interested in certain products. And yeah, that's gonna be today's video. If you guys want to see what I plan on decluttering and what I plan on keeping, then just keep on watching. All right, so here is my blush, bronzer, and highlighter drawer. I honestly haven't been in here maybe in a couple months because I've just been using the same few products that are in my everyday makeup drawer, and I'm using them until I use them all the way up. Originally this drawer was organized with like one basket of blushes, one of highlighters, one of bronzers, and one of cream products, but obviously that's not the case anymore because, you know, life happened. All of these little bins are from Target for like $2. If I can find them, I will link them down below. I have them in a couple of my makeup drawers, and they're just like a really easy find. I actually tried to get some other blush and bronzer organizers recently, but they're all just different shapes and sizes, so I couldn't find anything that was too consistent. So I'm gonna stick to these little boxes, and my goal is to just have like one full box of products left by the end of this. Basically, for the last several months, like I'm just focused on using things up, only having things that I absolutely love and not having a bunch of clutter. I have a bunch of products that are just kind of excess because I get them like in BoxyCharm and Ipsy, and sometimes I like them for a little while, but I'm not obsessed with them. And then I have a bunch of things that are super old. So let's just get right into it. I'm gonna start off with this basket. First thing in here is from Cover FX. This is their blush in the shade Warm Honey. This is their blush duo. I love these so much. I'm definitely keeping this. This is definitely one of my favorite blushes for fall. I used it last year a ton, and I see myself using it this year too. And it's one of my favorite formulas, so I'm definitely hanging on to this. Next up in here, I'm definitely gonna end up giving this away. This is actually still completely sealed up, from CoverGirl. This is one of their roll-on illuminators. Yeah, I'm not gonna hang on to it. It's not swatched or anything, and I could just give it away. In the shade So Glitzy, I could just pass it on to a friend or something. I have another cream blush from CoverGirl. I don't think I'll use this up. I don't need to hang on to it. I have other products from like Grande, Charlotte Tilbury that I'll end up using more. I've only used this a couple times, and I didn't fall in love with it, so I'm not gonna hang on to this. Over here we have Milani Luminoso. This is definitely an old favorite. This is something I still use all the time, and I actually have hit pan on this one already. I've used up several of these blushes. I'm gonna hang on to this and use the whole thing up for sure. Next up, this is one of the Wonderlust blushes from Buxom. This is in the shade Sage Hellies. I'm making fun of myself in my head of how I said Buxom. I don't know. Anyways, this is actually a gorgeous blush. I love this shade, and this is kind of like a cream to powder formula. It's more of like a nude blush that I love to wear for fall. It has like a nice sheen to it. I love like Barely There kind of blushes for the fall and winter time. Mauve blushes for sure, so I'm gonna hang on to that. Next up, here's a blush from Charlotte Tilbury, another nudie blush. This one's in the shade First Love. I've had this for a while. I definitely wanna hang on to this one as well. Another nude, another blush that I'm gonna wear a lot in the fall. Something that kind of just gets lost in my collection because I have so much crap all over the place. I probably am gonna hang on to more so high-end products and get rid of some of my drugstore products unless I love them. And then I'm definitely gonna get rid of high-end products. If I don't love them, I'm not just gonna keep them. So this is something I don't have to hang on to. I actually like this, but I am not obsessed with it. This is a duo from Pacifica. It smells like roses. This blush is actually gorgeous. But I don't wear this bronzer, and I have a lot of similar tone blushes. This is something I got maybe in an Ipsy like over a year ago, so I think it served its purpose in my collection. I'm gonna get rid of it. This is another thing that I got in an Ipsy. I could pass this along to someone. Sometimes I have like a couple friends and like friends of friends that are makeup artists in LA, and I'll pass along makeup to them, or pass them along to shelters, or just pass them along to my friends who might want them. So this is another kind of newish, if not like brand new product. So I could definitely give this to someone else. Anytime I know like things are in good condition that I could pass along to someone else, it's not a big deal to get rid of them because I know someone will use it more than I did. This is something definitely from an Ipsy. I don't even know what this is. A little flamingo blush. A blush with a flamingo imprint in it. I don't need this at all. So I am gonna get rid of that. This is the Becky G ColourPop highlighter. This is the one I'm gonna keep. This one's in the shade Chisme. Yes, this one is prettier than the other one. I'm not gonna hang on to the other one. Let me go ahead and just get rid of that one. This one is in Princesa. A lot of times, you guys know I love to keep things when they're in Spanish, and I love Becky G. Yeah, I saw her in concert, I think twice already. She's one of my faves. And I don't need to hang on to this because I don't love it. I'll just get a t-shirt next time I go to her concert, like next year or something. So I'm gonna get rid of Princesa, and I'm gonna keep Chisme. I like this name better anyways. And I actually do get a lot of use out of this highlighter. I love the ColourPop loose highlighters because they're not chunky or anything. Next up, we have a couple of my favorite products from Benefit. Benefit Cookie. This is a highlighter I've used a ton this year already. This is like a go-to favorite champagne tone highlighter. I'm definitely keeping that because it is actually something I love. And then Gold Rush from Benefit is actually one of my holy grail blushes. It might not look like I've used a ton of it, but I actually have, and I will use this whole thing up. It smells amazing too. It smells beachy. It's like one of my top favorite, maybe top 5 favorite blushes in my collection for sure. Next up, we have a little baby NARS Orgasm that I think was like a maybe 250 point perk at Sephora or something. Do I need this? I'm gonna put this in a maybe pile for now just because it's a little mini. I know I don't reach for it all the time, but because it is a mini, it's not like taking up a lot of room. So let's think about that one. All right, so we have one basket down, and I will have to clean out all of the fallen makeup out of there. And then next up in here, we have this big highlighter from Wet n Wild. I loved these for a while, but honestly, this shade is very similar to that other one that I'm keeping from ColourPop. This one's in the shade I'm So Lit, just like a rose gold highlighter. I don't need to hang on to this. I have very similar products that I'm hanging on to, and this takes up a ton of room in my collection. We have this one from IBY Beauty. This was like in an Ipsy maybe a year ago or so. I do not need to hang on to this either. There's nothing special about it. It is a nice highlighter, but it's, like I said, there's a lot of nice highlighters in here, and I'm only keeping my favorite, so we're getting rid of that. I'm gonna get rid of whatever this is. Like, there's some things that I get like an Ipsy that I try out, but I'm not obsessed with. I don't need to keep, so I'm gonna get rid of this little blush from The Balm. Benefit Hula. I'm gonna keep this just because it's like a staple, I feel like. It's definitely not necessary in my collection, but it's just like one of those things that it's kind of standard in makeup, and it's a good frame of reference to have for review videos and stuff. I know that's like a lame excuse, but there's a couple of things that I feel that way about, and sometimes when I'm filming reviews and I don't have that product for reference, it annoys me, so I'm gonna hang on to this. And I do like it. It's not like my favorite thing in the world, but I'm actually gonna wear it. It's not just taking up room in my collection. Anastasia Amrezy, I forgot about this one. See, this is what happens when all this clutter happens, and I forget about some of my favorites. But this was actually one of my favorite highlighters for a really long time. I stopped using it since it was sold out for a while. I think it's actually still gone, but I'm definitely gonna hang on to this. This is a great, great highlighter that I could definitely like use this whole thing up too. Next up, this is a blush from Laura Mercier. This one is in the shade Fresco, I believe. Yes, this is another nudie blush. They actually sent me quite a few blushes. I think I got rid of most of them, or I gave most of them away, and then I kept like the nude from them. So I'm gonna hang on to this. Here's a lot of my favorites, so I am gonna get rid of more products. We're just specifically going through a lot of my favorite things right now. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. I've had this for years, Master Chrome by Maybelline. This is a gorgeous highlighter. I've used a ton of it. There's a decent dent in here. I've actually had it maybe 3 years. This is in the shade Molten Gold. And I don't need it anymore. I'm gonna get rid of this one. It is quite old. Here's a little blush palette from the Balm that I got recently in a BoxyCharm or Ipsy. I'm gonna hang on to this for now. I haven't really used it, I will admit that. But I am gonna hang on to it just because I do want to use it, and if I don't use it and use it quite frequently by the end of the year, I will declutter it. I do plan on doing like kind of seasonal declutters. This is a newer blush from Persona. I'm sorry guys, a lot of things I'm keeping in here, but this just happens to be where I keep some of my favorite products. This is a newer blush from Persona. I love their blushes. I love Persona Cosmetics. This one's in the shade Caramel, and this is what it looks like. This is going to be a really pretty blush for fall. Hang on to that. This is Persona Zuma. This is like my holy grail highlighter. I have a broken one in my everyday makeup drawer that's almost used up, and then they sent me a new one when I did an IG takeover earlier in the summer. So this is definitely gonna hang on to this. This is my favorite highlighter in my collection, maybe. So if you guys want a highlighter recommendation, like if I can only pick one, it's gonna be that one. Jouer Citrine. I don't need this one. This is like an icy highlighter. I've had it for years. Honestly, it's really similar to the one I'm keeping, Benefit Cookie, and I use Benefit Cookie quite a bit more. I know we're not like traveling anytime soon, but this is one, like if I do start traveling again next year, this is the one I'm gonna bring with me because it goes with everything. It's one of those highlighters that's easy to travel with, because like when I travel with Zuma, like it can break, but the Benefit one is like easy and to transport. So I'm gonna get rid of this. It's not my favorite. Next up we have e.l.f. and that's Heart. This was an old collab from a few years ago. I'm gonna get rid of this one as well. I don't need it anymore. I loved it at the time. I got quite a bit of use out of it. At this point, it's almost 3 years old. Don't need it in my life. This is another Wet n Wild Mega Highlighter and all glown up. This is an amazing formula. If you guys want an affordable drugstore highlighter, this is awesome. I've actually used this quite a bit, but these are huge. I have a ton of highlighters in my collection. I have a bunch of other, like I'd rather use up my high-end highlighters that I love compared to my drugstore highlighters that I love, if that makes sense. So I highly recommend this if you guys just want like an affordable or even just a loose highlighter that's actually great, like regardless of the price. This one's amazing, but I have other amazing things that I'd rather use up first. This Fenty highlighter, honestly, I'm gonna get rid of it. I don't love this formula. Like I've had this, what, 3 years now. I have to go out of my way to actually use it because I find the formula kind of dry. It's not my favorite. I think I liked it at the time, but it doesn't excite me at all. I don't need to keep this. This is the shade, the Kilowatt highlighter. I'm over it. I don't need it anymore. Okay, so another basket down. Here we have a bunch of random stuff that didn't fit anywhere else. Benefit Rockouture. This is one of my favorite fall blushes, if not my favorite fall blush. Such a staple. I've used quite a bit of this. I'm going to use it a ton in the fall and winter. If you want like a berry, like, I just really like this blush. Like Benefit box blushes are some of my favorites in my collection. Like this, Gold Rush, and Georgia are like my favorite blushes of all time. It barely looks like anything, but it's still my favorite. It's one of those bronzery blush shades where it just looks like a nice natural nude. I'm gonna get rid of some of these drugstore highlighters. This one's fine from CoverGirl. Totally fine. I'm gonna get rid of that one. And then this one I loved for a while from Wet n Wild. Wet n Wild, when it comes to highlighters and blushes, they know what they're doing. Probably one of my favorite brands, that and e.l.f. From the drugstore. I used this for a few years. I think I got this about 3 years ago. And it doesn't, it's sold out. This is a baked blush from a limited edition collection from literally 3 years ago. So I'm gonna get rid of this one. Next up we have the bronzer in Americana from Ofra. I got this in a BoxyCharm like a couple months ago. And this is like a little orangey. It took me, like you can kind of tell in the pan that it's orangey. I kind of had to force myself to use it with like specific like makeup, and I just don't think that looks good on me. So I'm not gonna hang on to this, even though it's Ofra. I do love this brand, but it's not the right color for me. Next up, these are newer from Grande Cosmetics. I have a few in my everyday makeup drawer in different shades. These are ones I'm gonna save to use in the fall and winter. There's even more, but I didn't even want to open, I didn't want to open everything at the same time. I'm trying to be smarter when I open PR and just pick out like a shade or two that I love and then pass along the rest or something, or see if I want to revisit the other ones in the future, but I don't like to swatch everything at once or anything like that. So this is the shade Bronze and Tiramisu. These are shades I'm going to wear in the fall and winter and maybe put in my everyday makeup drawer then. I do like this formula. This is like a plumping blush formula. The applicator is pretty cool, and it's more like a creamy blush. It's not like a liquid. Sometimes liquid blushes almost have like a nail polish feel to them, like they dry so quickly and they're not movable, but this is almost like a cream product, and then it dries and it has a plumping formula, so it like lifts your cheekbone. So this is cool. I'm gonna hang on to it. This bronzer from Wet n Wild, I think you guys know I'm kind of getting rid of like all of my more affordable things that I don't absolutely love. Like I am keeping some drugstore stuff, but if I don't absolutely love it, there's no need to hang on to it. So I do like this bronzer. It looks nice, but there's really nothing special about it compared to like some other things in my collection. I'm probably gonna get rid of this from Physicians Formula. It's just broken anyways. I did use quite a bit of it, but it is broken, and there's other things that I rather use in my collection as well. I'm gonna hang on to this bronzer from ColourPop. This is kind of newer in my collection. I haven't gotten a lot of use out of it just because it's not super new. I actually probably got it 6 months ago, honestly, but I really just need to give it a chance in my collection, and I really haven't. So this one is the Coconut Beach bronzer. I just need to use it more for sure, and I'll see if I end up using it once I put it in a everyday makeup drawer. I'm gonna get rid of this highlighter from e.l.f. I'm not the biggest fan of this loose highlighter from e.l.f. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell, compared to like the Wet n Wild loose highlighters, like this is a little bit more glittery and not as smooth and like finely milled as Wet n Wild on like the ColourPop loose highlighter. So I'm gonna end up getting rid of that one. And then this is Ofra highlighter in Rodeo Drive. I'm actually gonna hang on to this. This is actually something that got kind of lost in my collection. I love the Ofra highlighters. They're super pigmented, super creamy. I'll show you guys. Like, it's a beautiful, beautiful formula, and it's definitely something that I kind of forgot about in this drawer. So I'm excited to give that one like another shot. I know that I love that formula, I love that shade, but it's something that just kind of got lost in here. So next up, this drawer, this is my Chanel bronzer. Honestly, I'm hanging on to this because it's Chanel. I do like this, for sure. I love my Yensa bronzer that I've mentioned in like recent favorites, and I prefer that one because that formula is like a little easier to work with. This one's a little tougher, and I've had this a couple years. I think that I probably need to get rid of this in 6 months because it might get too old, but I am gonna hang on to this. It is the one Chanel product I owned, and I'm not going to part ways with it. Next up, this is the Sweetie Pie blush from Too Faced. I really like this as well. I actually think it's a bronzer, but I wear this as a blush because it has like the pink in it, and then it just gives you like more of a nudie, bronzy shade. This is another good one for fall time as well, so I'm going to hang on to that. Next up, this is a blush duo from Kiko Cosmetics. I'm gonna get rid of this. I remember even saying in my last declutter that like if I didn't wear this, I was gonna get rid of it in my next declutter, and here we are. And I haven't worn this maybe since 2018, honestly. So I'm just gonna get rid of this. This is actually a really nice formula. I loved it at the time, but I don't actually wear it. All right, so next up I have this blush from Physicians Formula. This is one of their butter blushes. This is in the shade Natural Glow. This is one of those blushes you have to kind of pile on because it barely looks like anything. So I actually love this for a while because it just gives you like a nice sheen and like a little bit of a glow, but it's really not a standout blush by any means. So I'm gonna end up getting rid of that one. I actually love the blush formula of that, but the color is just not really there. We have some bronzers from Becca. This one is in the shade Bronze Bondi, and then this one is in Capri Coast, I believe. I think Capri Coast is my favorite one that I've used a bit more. Yeah, this is one of my favorites. And then this is the other one. I haven't used this one as much, but I'm gonna hang on to both of these. And then next up I have this blush from Ciate. I'm not gonna use this at all. This is another one that I got, I think, in a BoxyCharm. Not the right shade for me. It's matte. I'm not gonna hang on to this. So for reference, this is in the shade Dusk. I'm not particularly drawn to it. I'm gonna get rid of this one from Bare Minerals as well. I liked this for a while, this Gen Nude blush. This is in the shade Call My Blush. Just like a standard nude blush. You guys can tell I'm keeping a lot of like similar shades anyways. And this one is actually pretty matte. I prefer blushes that have like a sheen to them, that have more of like a highlighter effect. So I'm gonna get rid of this one as well. Next up we have a loose highlighter from Anastasia. This is So Hollywood. I'm gonna hang on to this too, just like a champagne highlighter. I do like this formula as well. I probably won't buy more loose highlighters from ABH or really too many loose highlighters in my collection. Like I don't really need many more, but this is one of my favorites in my collection. It is really pigmented and it's not like glittery. I am gonna get rid of this. This is a matte blush. This is one of their Amazonian clay blushes. I know I got this like in an Ipsy maybe a year ago. And this is in the shade Shimmer and Shake. I don't need to hang on to this, so I'm gonna get rid of this. I think there's some things that I hang on to thinking like, oh, I could use this when I travel or bring it with me, but obviously like I haven't traveled this year, so I don't need to plan for that. This Too Faced blush, I don't even think they make these little sweetheart blushes anymore. This is in the shade Baby Love. This is one of those things I only keep because I bought it the day that I got engaged, like that afternoon, and then I got engaged that night. So I keep this for sentimental reasons basically only. I don't actually wear this, but I keep it, and I keep it in my collection. I can probably put it somewhere else, but I like keeping it in my collection, so I'm hanging on to this for sentimental reasons. So I am gonna hang on to that one. Next up we have the Marc Jacobs Coconut Bronzer, this huge bronzer. I'm never gonna use this whole thing up, but it smells like coconut. It's an awesome bronzer. It was 50 bucks. I am gonna hang on to this. This is like the size of a laptop. It's so big and it's not practical to like store, but it's okay. It's coconut. I love everything coconut, so I'm hanging on to that. I need to put that like in an everyday makeup drawer because I kind of forget about it because it just gets lost in my collection because it's so big. So we're done with one more little basket. Onto the last one. We have some things here that I'm definitely gonna get rid of. Like I'm gonna get rid of this palette from Physicians Formula. I have another one of their highlighters, blushes, and everything like that. Like I have a bunch of these. I have one in my everyday makeup drawer. I don't need this one. I do love these products, but I just have them in various forms throughout my makeup collection, so I don't need to hang on to that. Next up, this Rose All Day collection from Physicians Formula isn't necessarily my favorite. I actually prefer their butter highlighters that are cream. This one's just like really subtle. Like it's just, yeah, like it's just there, but it doesn't give you a lot of drama. So I'm gonna get rid of this one. Next up, we have another Cover FX duo. This one is in Soft Peach. This is one of my faves as well. I actually decluttered all the ones that aren't my favorite, so I don't see myself getting rid of any of these duos from Cover FX. I do have a review of all of them on my channel too. This is another blush that I got in Ipsy a while back. I actually used it for a while, but I do not need to hang on to this Prima Donna blush, so I'm gonna get rid of that. All right, next up we have some liquid highlighters. I think I'm gonna get rid of both of these. I don't see myself using them. I have some like liquid highlighters that I have back here from Charlotte Tilbury. I have some from Grande that I mentioned earlier. I don't necessarily like these ones in the droppers. I'd rather have the ones with the wands that are like easy to apply with your fingertips. And these are more so highlighter drops that are really dry and just dry quickly and aren't like really easy to work with or blend out. So I'm gonna get rid of both of these. Next up, these are duos of face glosses from Galactic. I actually really like these, but I'm never gonna use them up, and I've had them for a couple years at this point. So I'm gonna get rid of both of them. It's a good formula and everything, but I am really not going to use much more of it. And like I said, I've had them for a few years, so the cream products I probably can't last forever. And I do want to get a new face gloss. I know Patrick Ta just came out with one that I'll probably get later this year. I do love products like that, but I wasn't really wearing those often enough to justify it. All right, so next up, this is the highlighter and Confidence in My Glow from Real Her. I think I'm gonna get rid of this. I don't really need to hang on to this. This is just kind of like a normal highlighter. I have a lot of other things in my collection that are similar shades that I prefer a little bit more. So I'm gonna get rid of this one too. All right, this bronzer from Too Faced I'm gonna hang on to for at least for now. It's not my favorite Too Faced bronzer. The Natural Lust bronzer, it also smells like coconut, which is part of the reason I'm hanging on to it, honestly. But I do need to get some more use out of it, and if I don't use it often, by the end of the year I will get rid of it, because it's also a huge thing to have in my collection that if I don't use it, it just kind of gets in the way. So I'm gonna hang on to it for now, but I might not hang on to it forever. We have some cream products. This is the Hoola Quickie Contour Stick. I don't need this anymore. I've had this for a few years. Yeah, I have other cream products like the Fenty cream bronzer and the Yensa cream bronzer I love. I will hang on to this one from Anastasia. This is a cream contour stick in the shade Fawn. This is one of my favorite shades and formulas, and it's a really nice one for nose contour. I don't use it too often. For me, the Yensa bronzer and the Fenty cream bronzer is a lot easier to work with because it blends out a little easier. This one's just like a bit more pigmented, so you have to like buff it out for a bit more time compared to those, but I am gonna hang on to this at least for a little while longer. And then we have these Glowgasm blushes and highlighters from Charlotte Tilbury. I think I'm gonna hang on to maybe one of them. No, I actually don't need to hang on to either of these because I have another one in my everyday makeup drawer that I like the shade better, and I don't like this like yellow gold highlighter, and I don't like this pink. So I'm actually gonna get rid of both of these from Charlotte Tilbury. I do like the formula, but I don't like these shades. I think they had sent me all of them, and I ended up liking the other ones better than these. All right, so that is everything in this drawer, which makes me very happy. That was kind of easy for me to actually pick out what I do and don't use. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how much I'm keeping and how much I'm getting rid of. All right, so here's a look at everything that I'm keeping from that drawer. It ends up being 29 products. I went ahead and kept the little NARS blush that was in the maybe pile. And then over here, I have all of the products I'm getting rid of. It actually ended up being 36 products. So I ended up getting rid of half of my collection, which makes me happy. I feel like a lot of this was just like taking up room and making it hard for me to actually use the products that I want to use up. So I'm pretty happy once I see everything laid out. I felt like I was keeping a lot, but I really did get rid of quite a bit, a little bit more than half of what I had in my drawer. So that is everything. I'm gonna go ahead and put all the things I'm keeping back in my drawers, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right guys, so this is what everything looks like with everything else decluttered, and it makes me so happy. Blushes, bronzers, highlighters, everything fits relatively in their drawers. The blush one is a little bit stuffed, but you can see everything that I have going on in here. I'm probably gonna end up rearranging how I have this drawer set up. Maybe put some of my face palettes in here as well, and I am really happy with how everything turned out. It's definitely like way less overwhelming, easy to see everything. I can finally like use up things that I haven't reached for in a while, which makes me very, very happy as well. But that's gonna be everything for this declutter. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I feel like I did pretty well compared to my other declutters. I actually got rid of more than half the products. But that's gonna be everything for today's video. If you guys liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll talk to you guys soon in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.